All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Authors Unite show. Today we got Lisa and Edwards with us, so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Tyler. It's amazing to be here.
Of course, grateful to have you here, and thanks for coming on the show. I know you're all the way in Australia, so it's
I
early
am.
Saturday morning dedication. I love it.
It is, as we were just saying, it's like I've been up for an hour and, it takes me that long to get ready and it takes you 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, I think honestly it was less than 5 minutes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
That's okay.
So to kick us off, tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
Okay, so what I do, I'm an author and a screenwriter, and I've got 3 books, which are a series. They're called Can't Fight Fate, Chasing Butterflies, and Seed of the Sunflower. And they're based around a sort of a 40-year-old-ish woman, and she's obsessed with psychics. And the psychics basically tell her this guy that she's going to meet, and it's throughout the book we see her dating various men. They have to fit the criteria of the psychic, and she's not a stupid woman. So she's an entertainment lawyer, and she's got a really strong career, but this is where she kind of goes weak at the knees with these guys that the psychic has described. So it's kind of it's a comedy sort of series, and you'll get a bit of a laugh at her dating experiences.
Nice. Okay.
So and apart from that, then the screenwriting stuff. So I've got Can't Fight Fate is been written into a TV series as well. So I've got a pilot for that out, and that's getting shopped around. And then I've got 2 feature films. So one's Blink, and that one's filming at the end of this year. And that one's it's kind of it's a dark thriller. And it's 4 women taken simultaneously, and they're given the ultimatum that 3 will die and 1 will live, and they need to choose. So, and they're locked in a room, and there's a man that gives them rules. So as to how they're going to choose. So it's quite, scary, and it's quite revealing, and it makes these women face the choices that they've made in their life. And and then the last one is called Coin Runners. It's a feature film as well. So it's based on, I'm a crypto trading analyst as well. And I've been doing that for quite a long time. My brother is believed to have invented Bitcoin, and he is Dr. Craig Wright. And so I do that, and Coin Runners is based on a true life story of a guy that I know and the crazy stuff that he got up to and how I was involved in that. And so it's basically a story of a year of my life.
Wow. All right. So I got a lot of questions here, okay? I don't even know where to start. Okay, so wait a second. Okay, first question. I don't want to forget all these that are coming to me. Okay, first question is the 3-book series. How did you? I always find fiction writing to be so interesting. I've only written nonfiction books.
Yeah.
So, how did you come up, or what was the process to come up with the storylines, and how did you do that?
Okay, so it always revolves around a guy for me. It's it's normally them breaking my heart, but anyway, So the psychic readings are my own, and they're contained in that book. In each book, so in each book we start with a new psychic reading. So the first book has a psychic reading from when I was 21 years old, and so basically, I'm that crazy girl. I don't do it anymore. It's I'm that crazy girl that went, okay, you don't have green eyes, or you don't have, they were meant to be blue-green eyes. So they were meant to be blue, and in certain light, they changed to green. So that was the psychic sort of description. So every time, it's hang on. what color are your eyes? So are they changing color? And it's like, so I was that crazy girl, and I was kind of seeing this guy, and yeah, he sort of met so many criteria that the psychic had given, like, you know, his what his job was, and what he was, you know, sort of places he would go, and the colour of his eyes, and, you know, that sort of stuff. He had a dimple in his chin, and he had a dimple on his cheek. And, you know, just from over the years, I've realised that they're quite generic things.
Mm-hmm.
Not overly generic. They're like, yeah, but it's so, you know, if you're dating guys, then within this book, she can, you know, meet guys that all have this criteria and not necessarily match. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like you took your own, like it's from kind of your own life, but it's fiction, obviously. But like,
none of the stories are true. So.
Yeah, but you kind of took from the foundation of your, like that, because that's what's always kind of been interesting. It's like, where do you even begin? So you began with like just kind of your story a little, used pieces of it, and then created a fictional series.
Yeah, so all my friends kind of think it's kind of crazy that, you know, these psychics always say the same thing. And I'd be like, I went to another psychic and she said the same thing. This green-eyed, blue-eyed guy kind of exists, and, you know, he's a Leo, or he's on the cusp of being a Leo, and, you know, it's kind of crazy.
It is, because I actually happen to be green, blue-eyed, and a Leo, so that's a little freaky in all honesty.
It must be you. It must be you.
It must be me, man. That's funny. Cool. I like that.
When are you available for a date, or is that too far behind you?
No, I'm coming to Australia. Yeah. Flying from Miami. I'll be right over. That's cool. That's funny.
That's so funny.
I had to point it out because you literally like described me. That I was like, this is getting strange.
No way. That's so funny.
I just had my birthday, August 13th. And blue with a little greenish tint. You might not be able to tell now. So either interesting. Okay, so the other thing that really caught my attention, over to more like the business side, and just to make sure, I wasn't sure if I was mixing fictional and real life. So I want to make sure. So you said your brother, they have invented Bitcoin, or explain that?
That's correct. Okay, so my brother is Dr. Craig Wright. Okay. He is the Australian guy that is, he invented Bitcoin. So I believe he did. I know he did. I've you know, been around him a long time. So he hasn't proved it 100% in the public. It's, so I don't know if you know much about cryptocurrency, but.
I know some, yeah.
Yeah, so Satoshi Nakamoto is known as the creator. So, and that's my brother.
That's so crazy. How is this possible?
I know, it's sort of crazy, isn't it? So, yeah.
That's so cool. I know, because I've heard, like, I have one of my friends, and I'm going to butcher this, but yeah, I know a little bit about cryptocurrency. I'm not like well versed or knowledge in it, but one of my friends, he owns this company called Block Geeks, and the co-founder of it is the father of the guy who started Ethereum. So I get, you know.
Okay. So of Vitalik. So
So I don't know him personally, but I know, you know, I'm like one. Yeah. So, and I've learned some stuff from him. Like, he told me about Bitcoin. I think it was like 600 a coin at the time. So that's when.
Did you buy it?
Yeah, I did buy. So and I did the trading a little bit, but for me, what happened is it started to get a little, like, it was consuming my whole life. Like
so that's where coin runners come in. So it's about sort of that, you know, overlapping themes of drugs, of, you know, addiction and all of that. So it's like she's addicted to this guy, and they're both addicted to cryptocurrency, and, you know, so you've got these overlapping kind of themes of, you know, that all happening.
Yeah, it was like that. So for me, it was like, because you know how it went up to 20 grand, like it went up to 20.
Yes.
So like, you know, I was watching everything just blow up, and I was like, what is going on? And like, so I think if I remember, I sold some at like 17. So like, you know, it was great, but then like it started going, it was so fluctuating.
Volatile. Yeah. So it's a really volatile sort of currency. It's probably the most volatile one there is.
Yeah. So I would be like working on, you know, Authors Unite, my business. And then like every 5 minutes, I'd check GDAX. It was GDAX or Coinbase. And I'd be like, oh my God, it just went up $2,000 in 5 minutes or whatever. And like, eventually I got to the point where I am now, whatever I have, I'm just like holding, just like letting it go. Because, yeah, I made some money, but like the mental like thing it was doing to me, I was like, it's not working anymore, dude. Just business. Like
that's funny because that's the open to that movie, and it's like you know, the start of that. The week before it hit kind of almost 20,000 is the start of the movie, and they're watching the charts and they keep coming back to it, and it's exactly what you described. So, and everyone I talk to about that moment is just like, I couldn't look away, I couldn't do this. It's like it was such an addiction, and it
was well, and you got people like McAfee,
John McAfee, yeah, he's a character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like, it'll go to 500,000 or somewhere, 100,000, and I'm like, what do I do? Like 20 grand's great, but 500. So I don't know. It's a lot. So are you still trading now? Like, do you still?
Yeah. So that's what my Twitter following is. So I've got 30,000+ people on Twitter, and I post charts, and I've got a trading Discord called Satoshi Sisters, and we're in there and we're helping people to learn to trade, and and just, you know, giving signals when to buy, when to sell, that sort of stuff. So yeah.
And hey, what better source than you? Like, come on, it doesn't get any better than that. Like,
I'm not sure if it works that way, but yeah. I wish it did. I wish I could just go, hey, Craig, what price is it going to be tomorrow?
I was just thinking that. You just hit your brother up. You're like, yo, pull the lever. All right, dump it.
Yeah, that would be nice, but no, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
Okay. Okay, so you got that, and then another book. So how did you get into the screenwriting? Like, how did you like build connections with people because that's a leap. I know a lot of people that write books, they want to turn them into movies. So how did you?
So before writing books, we need to go back before. So so in Australia, I owned a company called Visions MCP, and it's a modelling, casting and promotions agency, and we found work for actors, models, and promotional talent. And so within that, I have a whole network of people in Australia, and probably 2008-ish, I started traveling to, maybe a little bit earlier, to LA to build connections for my business, and, to get actors more work in the States, because there was a lot happening over there with the feature films, and, there's a lot more money for them over there. So I started traveling doing that, and I've always sort of written down all my thoughts, because that's kind of psychologically how I got through anything. I'd write it out and I'd go, okay, that makes sense. And that's why I started, friends were saying, you've got to tell this story about the psychics. Nobody's going to believe it. So that's how that kind of all started, because I was writing down the thoughts. And so the business, the modelling casting agency helped with the contacts. And then if you're in screenwriting, there's a lot of services similar to yours that you can use to help, get your script up to, being perfect or as close to as possible. And one of them that I've used is Roadmap Writers, another one's Blue Cat Screenplay, and they both help with, particularly Roadmap Writers, get you in front of executives. So you can pitch, which is the hardest thing, because you've got 8 minutes, and you need to jump in on Skype or on Zoom, and you've got 8 minutes to impress them and to basically sell the story. Yeah. So, yeah, it didn't happen that way. That we got Blink sold, but that's a long sort of, that was through friends of friends, and I've got a co-writer on that one, and she approached somebody, and it got picked up that way. But it's such a long journey. Like, that film is 8 years in the making, and it's filming at the end of this year. So it's yeah.
I was just thinking that'd be a cool show. You know what I mean? There's like all these shows, so it'd be like you get on with Blue Cat, and then they film it, like the pitch, and then that's the show. Like, you watch people pitch like their idea.
Well, it's actually really interesting. So it's like you get on with these companies, and you're pitching, and you can watch everyone else's pitches, because there's maybe 10 people in a row, and you're all on this session, and you're sort of all pitching, and you're like, oh wow, I could use that in mine, and that I like the way he did that, sort of thing. And so you're sort of picking up sort of tips as you go.
Yeah, that's interesting. So okay, so all right. You wear a cool.
I do.
So okay, so where we started, I want to kind of come back full circle real quick. How do you write? So not necessarily the concept, but like how do you get into like writer's flow, and like how are you writing? Like, you're on your 4th book, so I know our audience, they would love to know this, so that's why.
Yeah, so I constantly write notes in my iPhone, because I've learned over the years that if you have a great thought and then you don't write it down, it doesn't exist anymore. It was just a great thought at the time. You're thinking, oh, what was I going to write down? So you have to write it down in that moment. So if I'm really busy, I'll quickly jot some notes in my iPhone in the notes section, and then I'll come back to that and I'll go, okay, what does that mean? What is that thought? And I'll expand on that, and if it fits in the book, then I'll put it in. My books are never written in order. They're kind of written all over the place, even though, they're sort of, they're a trilogy, but ideas come to me at different times, and I'm like, oh, that might make a good idea in the book. So I'll sit there and I might write a chapter of the book, and then it gets maybe used or maybe not, or maybe broken up and put in somewhere else. But it's just a matter of writing down the notes or writing down the ideas when they happen. So, so my phone's full of like ideas, and I'll be putting, kind of probably once or twice a week for the book, I'll sit down and I'll actually give it maybe half a day, and I'm sitting there and putting all the notes together and compiling it, and I kind of know where they fit at that point, and the flow, and then I can write around them. So it's always about writing around the notes that I've made during that week.
Yeah, I love what you just said. I think that's the biggest thing that like hinders people is they try to write in such like a perfect way. Like it's, got to get the title first, got to get the subtitle, then the introduction. And I think that's not the way like the creative process works. Like,
no,
it's messier than that. It's more fun than that, and because I'm the same as you, my iPhone with notes, I think I might be wrong. I can't remember if it was 5,000 or 50,000. I know that's a big difference, but I email myself at least 20 times.
I do the same, because I think if I lose my iPhone, I'm going to lose the notes. So.
Oh yeah. Every time I thought I could be at the gym, I could be running, whatever it is. Anytime I type it in the notes, email it to myself. At the end of the day, I go through all of them, and then I just, organize or whatever. But I think it's such like a simple practice, but you're so right. Cause like everybody I think has like good ideas, but like a lot of people are just like, oh, I'll remember it later. And no, you don't.
You never remember it later. It never happens. It's like I've sat there for ages trying to remember those notes, and I'm like, it's not coming.
No, it's gone.
This is gone. It's like it was the best idea.
Yeah. You got to, and I can't remember, there's like a book about this. I think it's called like Big Magic or something. I can't remember that.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. She talks about doing that.
Yeah, and it's like there's like she talks about kind of process too, where it's like you know, like when you're in flow, where it's like you're more receptive to those ideas. Like,
Yeah.
so that's what I realized, like exercising or like hiking and stuff. That's when a lot of those things come to me more naturally. So
That's the same as me. I'll be on the elliptical, or I'll be in the gym, or I'll be, in the shower. I get lots of ideas in the shower.
yeah, and this is it's such a good thing to think of, is like and it's also, say like you're trying to solve a problem, right? You can like really zero in and like keep like banging your head against it and like try to solve it. Or if you just go on a walk and like just forget about it, the problem will like sometimes like solve itself. Like it'll like come to you if you step away. So I think that's like what you're saying with the writing of a book. You're not like necessarily sitting down and like forcing anything. Like you're just like allowing ideas to happen. And then when there's enough of them, you order them however it's meant to be. And then you write it and have a book. So yeah, I love, it's awesome. It's just.
Yeah, that I find that's the most, like if I sit down and I'm like, and I think that's where the term writer's block comes from. Like if you don't have those ideas at the time and you're trying to force them, like you said, it's like they're not going to happen. So I just write down the crazy ideas as they happen.
Yeah, that's yeah. Same. All the right way of life. I like it.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. Well, listen, I think if you're down, we might want to do a longer one sometime, a longer interview.
Okay. Yeah, sounds great. I got so much.
But yeah, this was incredible. And I'm sure our audience wants to know. So leave us with this. What's the best place to connect? Social media, and then you have a lot of stuff going on. So like, there's for different things. So hit us with like the Twitter for that.
Okay, Twitter, you can get me, like I'm always on there, so I'm addicted to Twitter. And so if I see your tweet, I'll answer you. So it's Lisa N. Edwards, pretty easy to find. Looks like me, got a photo. And so you can find me there. Instagram, Lisa_N_Edwards. And you can find me there. Facebook, Lisa N. Edwards. My website, where you can see what I'm up to and doing, is lisanedwards.com. And yeah, so that's got all the links to everything. So if you want to check out IMDb to see what I'm up to with my films and with my acting, so that's Lisa N. Edwards as well. So yeah.
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you for coming on, Lisa. It was fun.
Thank you, Tyler. It's been amazing.